My name is Donna Barnes. I lost my son, Mark Jamal Barnes, in 1990. He was in college up in Massachusetts. When he left his dorm room, he left a note. So we knew he was despondent. He was missing for 9 months. His father and I knew it was a suicide because he had left a note. So we called it what it was. We could have easily said it was a drowning, but I didn't want to do that. I have no idea what made me want to just say what it was. I think it's because I didn't understand it. And the more I talked about it, the more I could probably come to some conclusions. You're trying to fathom the unfathomable. People have in their head what a suicide victim is supposed to be like. They're supposed to be despondent. They're supposed to be depressed. There were family members and friends who didn't believe it was a suicide because Mark seemed to be a very well-balanced person. Mark did not show any of those signs. It was hard for me to believe. I was shocked. I was totally taken aback, just blindsided. Just, like a moving truck, it hits you and it knocks you, you fall and you crush, then you get up and you try to deal with all this confusion and pain. I read every book I could find, which were few. My Son, by Iris Bolton helped me the most. I sat at the kitchen table and I read it all the way through. And when I was done, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I just cried profusely because she, like me, thought her son was okay. That book really, really, really supported what I thought. He didn't necessarily have to be mentally ill. He didn't necessarily have to be suicidal and have those kind of behaviors as much as it was a societal thing. Environmental forces that caused him to think that life was not worth living anymore at the age of 20. So I wanted to look at it from a sociological perspective. There's this thing called restorative telling. The more you talk about it, the more you release this negative energy in you that the trauma itself had formed. You don't come out of something like that unscathed. You are changed forever. You're a different person. And it gave me drive to want to get it out there. And I know when you ask survivors this question, they all say the same answer. I don't want to see another family go through what I went through. That's what I felt, especially an African-American family. If you think it wasn't talked about from the general public, and the African-American family, it was completely non-existent. Suicide was a white thing. I decided to go back to school and I got my master's in sociology. While I was working on my dissertation and writing it, there were about 6 or 7 suicides in South Boston in a 12-month period. And someone from the community called, "Do you have anybody in your department who specializes in suicide?" I ended up on the front page of the newspaper. From there, it just snowballed and I became public. I just saw a need because there just weren't that many support groups when I was coming up, and especially in the African-American community. So I initially started in the African-American community in 2002, but then I started another group in my area for anyone. It just wasn't for African Americans, it was for anyone. And then COVID happened, so I started doing it online. And now that people are sort of meeting face to face again, I think I'll continue online because being online, I can have people from all over the world. And I like that. I like being available for anybody.